This is going to be a different kind of a day. I have prepared for it to be a different kind of a day. And if you totally despise what happens during this hour, do you remember the movie Men in Black, where they had this little instrument, you hold it up and it wipes out your memory? Just do that and you'll forget it. I'd like to turn to verses 1 through 19. In the Plout 154, 155, this is Genesis 23, 1 to 19. I need a couple of readers. Do we have a reader person? Do we have a reader person who wants to volunteer? Okay, I see Risa, you're volunteering. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm reading from the Women's Commentary.
That's acceptable.
Sarah lived to be 127 years old. Such was the span of Sarah's life. Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, and Abraham proceeded to mourn for Sarah and to bewail her. Then Abraham rose up from upon his dead wife and spoke to the Hittites, saying, I am a foreigner living for a time among you. Sell me a gravesite among you, that I may bury my dead here. The Hittites answered Abraham, saying, Hear us, my lord, you are a mighty prince in our midst. Bury your dead in any of our choicest graves. Not one of us will keep you from burying your dead by withholding a gravesite from you.
Okay, do we have another reader? Do we have another reader in the pursuit of excellence? Huh? Lynn is, okay, Rebecca? Okay, thank you.
I apologize in advance. I don't pronounce things. Abraham rose and bowed to the Hittites, the people of the land, and he said to them, If you are willing that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me and entreat me for Ephron, the son of Zohar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns. It is at the end of his field. For the full price, let him give it to me in your presence as a possession for a burying place. Now Ephron was sitting among the Hittites, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham, and hearing of the Hittites, of all who went in at the gate of his city. No, my lord, hear me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. In the presence of the sons of my people, I give it to you, bury your dead.
Okay, now we're at verse 12. Do we have a reader? Verse 12.
What chapter, Rabbi?
Pardon?
I just joined you.
We're in 23:1. Lynn, please.
Let Lynn do it.
Okay.
But Abraham bowed low before the landowning citizens, and in their hearing he addressed Ephron the Hittite. Oh, if only you would listen to me. I will pay the field's price, take it from me, and let me bury my dead there. Ephron then made this reply to Abraham. My lord, hear me. Land worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Go bury your dead. Should I go on?
Yeah, please.
Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out for Ephron the amount of silver he had named in the hearing of the Hittites, 400 shekels of silver, using weights, standard among traders. So Ephron's land in Machpelah, looking out on Mamre, the field, its cave, and all the trees in the field within its boundaries, passed to Abraham by purchase in the sight of the Hittites and of all the town leaders.
Now, as Lynn is reading verse 19 and 20, please pay close attention. 19 and 20, Lynn.
Afterwards, Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave of the field of Machpelah, facing Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus was confirmed Abraham's acquisition from the Hittites of the field and its cave as a fully owned grave site.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, all readers. You get a little gold reading star right here. Now, Someone want to give me just a verbal summary of what this narrative is about? What just happened here? What just happened here?
Transfer,
Okay.
Rabbi? Transfer of property and bequeath to honor Sarah and give her a place of rest. And I didn't hear the whole thing. I just got here, Rabbi. So
Okay, Lynn?
It was a legal purchase in front of many, many witnesses.
mhm.
And he refused to take it as a gift because he didn't want there to be any question that he paid for it and he owned it.
Super. Okay. This is such a well-known story. Why don't we just skip ahead and forget the deep problems buried under the text? Because we read this, we know what you could have told the same story. First of all, the land is sanctified by those who are buried there. Risa reminded me, Risa, why don't you share with the group what you had from your notes?
The last time I studied this section with Steve Leader, he informed us that the starting of Wilshire Boulevard Temple in the 1800s was the purchase of a cemetery. That's what the community needed. And they bought the land and they started the cemetery, and then they became a community that started a synagogue.
Wow.
So what you get, thank you, what you get is, I didn't know that particular story, but it's not uncommon. You need to take care of certain things. You have to have a cemetery. And having the cemetery, the community built around it. Abraham needed to have a cemetery, a place to bury. I mentioned this past week in another session the importance of Halvayat Hamet. Abraham is accompanying the dead. If you know the phrase, it's a really powerful one in Hebrew. Halvayat Hamet. Halvayat Hamet, which means to accompany the dead. The mitzvah of Halvayat Hamet is a major mitzvah. Okay? And so right here, we are getting core values of the Jewish people. And it's important to recognize that. It doesn't matter whether Abraham is an historical figure or not. What matters is this story has become normative and is a root story for key Jewish values. Okay. Having a cemetery is a good thing. We visit cemeteries, right? We visit. When do we go to visit cemeteries? Setting aside a funeral, but when do we go to visit a cemetery?
George side?
Well, let's have hands up. Let's have hands up. When do we go and visit a cemetery? When?
Whenever you can.
Okay, Donna, whenever you can, yes. When do we visit the cemetery?
George side too.
Okay, easy. We visit the cemetery on the occasion of a death, the year anniversary, we do that. We visit a cemetery very, very often around the period of the High Holy Days. And for example, Hillside has an annual big observance. People come to the cemetery. They have a special service connected with, Yizkor and remembering like that. When else, if you can remember your Broadway theater, when else do Jews visit a cemetery?
To answer that, I know.
If I were a rich man.
Is it on the
When else do we visit a cemetery? When? When we're
leaving.
When we're leaving the community. So
Mhm.
Tevya is packing up He's leaving. The last obligation he has is to leave the cemetery, is to visit the cemetery. Why?
Because
Why?
his loved
Wait,
ones.
Donna, please. No, you gotta control there. When else, what was it that brought Tevye to the cemetery? What brought Tevye to the cemetery? What did he want to do?
He wanted to talk to his descendants.
Pay respects.
Say goodbye.
He wanted to say goodbye. And he wanted to say goodbye, and he wanted a blessing.
Hmm.
And the visiting of a cemetery, a tradition that goes back to Abraham in the story, is also a time to achieve a blessing. Cemeteries are sacred, important places. Now, I gave away my whole lesson plan by telling you to pay close attention to verse 20. This thus was confirmed Abraham's acquisition from the Hittites of the field and its cave as a fully owned gravesite. Now, some of you who study with me know that I am really picky about translations. And there are a lot of problems in this translation. Let me just say, achuzat kever is the word in the Hebrew text, and it's one that is mainstream. Every Jew in Israel knows it. Achuzat kever, do you have a place where you're going to be buried? That's an achuzat kever. Risa and I have an achuzat kever right outside the city of Jerusalem. We own grave sites. We have a place. Now, the field and the cave which is in it will be for Abraham, watch this, as an achuzat kever from the Hittites. Folks, this is a permanent purchase. Abraham is buying land forever. And that land will be the burial site for Sarah. Therefore, in the history of the Jewish relationship with Eretz Israel, with the land of Israel, what does verse 20 declare?
That you're going home.
What does it declare?
That the Jews have a legitimate claim to the land there.
Okay, Cindy, so that we are not visitors. Starting with Abraham, we have purchased land forever. We are part of the land of Israel. Now, you may think, that's, Gary's looking at me. Yeah, it's such a big deal, big deal. This verse and this Sedra is part of the shaping of the Netanyahu government right now. We read this as if it's like something that belongs in the past, but trust me, let me go into this a little bit further. Outside of the book of Genesis, there's no mention of the cave of Machpelah. It basically disappears. It's there. No one talks about it. But the area, stick with me, has three names: Hebron, Mamre, Kiryat Arba. All three are basically the same location. Mamre, to this day, claims an ancient tree which is the descendant of the tree, which is the descendant of the tree, which is descendant of the tree under which Abraham sat. The people in Mamre feel a one-line connection back to our center. They're living in a place. Abraham bought the land. They're living on the land. It's ours. The book of Genesis hints that Kiryat Arba, the city of the four, whatever that means, is named after Arba, the father of all the giants who inhabited the land. You remember from the book of the story of Genesis and so forth, there were giants in the land. Now, before I go forward with all this interesting stuff, Rebecca.
I thought the Hittites were enemies,
Yeah.
but they gave up the land. That's so interesting.
Well, I have to tell you, I just love it. Abram says to Ephron, no, I want to buy it. Tell me what the price is. I want to buy. Oh, there's no need to pay. You're here. We love you. You're a neighbor. Take the land. What's a piece of land worth 400 pieces of silver between you and me? What did Ephron just do? He set the price, right? He set the price. I mean, it's really, you got to laugh. Oh, don't worry. Land, a piece of land. Oh, okay, yeah, it's worth 400 silver shekel. Don't let it be a big deal. This is a negotiation. It is ancient Middle East. It still goes on this way today. It's delightful. Now, Hebron has a story to tell. And today, I want to tell it. Hebron is one of the oldest cities in the ancient Middle East. That's saying it was a Canaanite royal city. And before the supposed time of Abraham, it was a major religious site. Hebron isn't the same as I'm going up to Livermore, California. Big deal. Fine, go to Livermore. No. Hebron, one of the oldest cities in the Levant, was a royal city and a center of pagan worship. Now it has been Hebron has been a significant city for more than 4,000 years. You got to really hold on to that. 4,000, this is not biblical exaggeration. 4,000 years. Hebron has been at the center of life there. In Hebron, there is a cave. The cave of Machpelah. Who's buried in Grant's tomb? No, who's buried in the cave of Machpelah? Who?
Abraham?
Abraham and Sarah.
Okay, we got Abraham and Sarah. Let's keep going.
David and Solomon?
Isaac and Rebekah.
Isaac,
Rebecca?
Isaac and Rebekah.
Isaac and Rebecca. Wow.
Jacob and Leah.
Jacob
Joseph and Leah.
Jacob and Leah. Wow.
Who's missing?
Rachel.
Rachel. Rachel is not buried there. If you read the writings of Jeremiah, you will find that Rachel's burial place is along a route north-south, further north from Hebron.
Rabbi,
When did she die?
On the road, giving birth to Benjamin.
Benjamin. giving birth to Benjamin. The
Aw.
12
Rabbi,
I'm trying to put this all together so you can walk away from today saying, oh my, this is simply not a boring chapter. This is 4,000 years, and Abraham bought the right to live there. Now,
Rabbi,
we go on.
Lorraine,
Okay, Lorraine,
question. Didn't when we left Egypt brought the bones of Joseph, and weren't they supposed to be destined to that cave? There wasn't, I mean, am I recalling correctly?
the exact identity of all the inhabitants of the cave is open to question.
Okay.
Okay? That Joseph is buried in Joseph's tomb, which is not, that's like Grant. I'm sorry, but that's called Joseph's tomb. It's not there.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But do you know, Lorraine, what's buried directly under the tomb of Abraham?
Tell us.
Tell us, Ark of the Covenant?
The gateway to the Garden of Eden.
Wow.
Can
Okay,
you repeat
that's
that? I missed that part. I'm sorry.
I'm guessing. Well, that's cool.
okay.
Indiana Jones.
This is what rabbinic tradition did to that piece of land and that cave. You understand? This is utterly significant. The cemetery as a place of holiness and of blessing, the cemetery as a place where the patriarchs and most of the matriarchs are buried, the gateway to the Garden of Eden, paradise. By the way, that's where Adam and Eve are. I said to Lorraine, we don't have all the names of the people who are buried there. It's a fairly sizable group of people. Okay? Now, we're going to stop for quick questions. We have to plunge forward. Yes, Donna.
Where's Miriam buried? Miriam with the tambourine, the singer. Moses is
In the desert, not in a location that we have.
okay.
Okay. And same with Aaron. Okay. Any other hands? I see Brad and Cindy.
Rabbi, I hope you can hear me. There's some background noise here.
I saw you eating your salad, so of course I can hear you.
You know, I'm drawing a different message altogether from this. I assume that this is the first incidence of sale or acquisition of property in the Torah.
Yes.
And, you know, according to Jean-Jacques Rousseau, that was the first time that somebody claimed a right to property, was the beginning of the downfall of man. And here we are, thousands of years later, still fighting over this piece of property.
Brad,
So I think he was on to something.
you're going to have to wait a bit because I could try to hold this up and show you. When I get to this part of my lesson plan, we're going straight there. Okay? We're going straight there. Now, Mara, Harv, whoever. Yeah, go.
I was just
No, wait,
curious.
Cindy first. Cindy
No,
first.
Mara was first.
Okay,
Thanks,
thanks, Cindy.
I was just curious when you spoke about the cave of Machpelah, that below it was supposedly the entrance to the Garden of Eden. If any of that led to further discussions by the rabbis concerning the world to come, or if there was a world to come.
The the evolution, and we can't really spend a lot of time with this, it's a great question. The evolution of the notion of world to come evolved stage by stage by stage, and at various stages, people held certain attitudes. The idea of the Garden of Eden being the world to come is antithetical to the core views of Judaism. Judaism does not want, in its teaching, to go back to the Garden of Eden. Whatever answers we have about what comes next, Garden of Eden, except in Jewish mysticism, Garden of Eden is not what we want. The angel guarding the garden with the flaming sword and all that, that's it. Don't go back, go forward. Now, again, the mystics, Kabbalah, Zohar, sure, they speak of Garden of Eden, but they are speaking of a mystical Garden of Eden, not the one that Adam and Eve inhabit.
So what are we supposed to go forward to if it's not the Garden of Eden?
I always thought it was In-N-Out Burger, but it probably isn't. Carl, you'll have to forgive me. It's a really long, complicated thing, and it's well worth discussing, but it's long. There are those who believe in world to come. There are those who believe in eternal silence. There are those who believe in messianic age, Armageddon, and the destruction of all life as we know it. It's complicated. Hi, Merle. Greetings from San Diego. I got to go on. This is way too exciting for me. Okay, so let's say, Cindy.
Okay, to me, the most important part of this Sedra is telling us that Sarah died at 127, which to me relates to the Akedah only because my understanding is she died shortly after it. And if she had Isaac at 90, he would have been 37. And I grew up thinking Isaac was a young child when that happened. And if he would have been 37, it kind of changes the whole thing. If Abraham was well over 100 years old, that he could pin down this 37-year-old son. I mean, am I right that he would have been 37?
Well, my initial response to you was I once believed that the ark with Noah was real. So the 37, you're totally correct, is one of the assigned dates for the age of Isaac. Definitely. And the rabbis will claim that Sarah died when she heard about the almost Akedah. So
Okay.
that's right next to each other. But these are among the possibilities. There are still those, there are still those in rabbinic literature who assert that Isaac was actually killed. Okay? Assert that he was killed and he was reborn through the intervention of angels. There's a lot going on here that we rabbis don't like to share with you. You know, it's kind of like our secret stuff. Let me go forward. What else happened in Hebron? That's where King David was anointed king. Hebron is a big place in Jewish life. So David was anointed there. In the Second Temple period, Hebron and the area of Machpelah experienced a major building project. Can anyone tell me what that project was? We're talking now 2,300 years ago. What happened in Hebron during the days of the Second Temple? Does the name Herod strike a bell? Herod was the one who took the Temple Mount, flattened and expanded it, supported his expansion with the Western Wall, the Eastern Wall, the Northern Wall, the Southern Wall. That's the Western Wall that we know was built by Herod. And then on this platform, on the Temple Mount, Herod built the second temple, which by all accounts is number 5 or number 4. But it's, people call it the second temple. It is wrong. It's probably number 4, maybe number 5. In any event, how do you recognize the Western Wall even in a picture? What is it you see when you look at the Western Wall? In the nature of the building materials, what do you see?
The Jerusalem stone.
It's Jerusalem stone, but it's carved
Rhodium stone.
in a special way. How?
Right.
You can't go like this. This is, use your words.
It's a rectangular shape.
It's a rectangular shape with a margin.
Right.
Margin. When you see, look right behind Cindy. There it is. Right there is the Western Wall. Thank you. There goes Cindy. She gave her all for the Western Wall.
I love it.
The stones, we're looking at walls put up by Herod, who was, by the way, a warmly hated leader of the Jewish people. But, okay, now, Herod built the walls, the structure around Machpelah in Hebron as well. When we visited Hebron, we looked at the walls that go around the cave, same stone, same margins, same style. So the Western Wall and the wall surrounding the cave and Hebron, built by the same leader in the same way. Yes, this excites me. All these pieces get put back together. Now, in Israel today, but actually this started much earlier in the Talmudic period, there are 4 holy cities. There are 4 holy cities. Name them.
Jerusalem.
You picked, yeah, right. Okay, yeah. All right. Yes, Jerusalem. Fine.
Tiberius.
Pardon?
Tiberius.
Tiberius. Who said that?
Teresa.
Do you have that written down from some other time?
No,
Tiberius.
Tiberius.
No. Okay, Tiberius number 2.
Haifa?
Pardon?
Haifa?
Hebron.
Obviously.
Come on, I'm teaching this
City
thing.
of David, City of David, Bethlehem.
Hebron and Sfat. Sfat. Okay? So what we are doing is layering upon layers of the significance of Hebron. Do you understand why I'm doing this? It's a great story, Abraham, Sarah, cool. But oh my God, Hebron was already a major world city, a place of holiness and the seat of kings. And it got more and more. Cindy.
Are we allowed to visit Hebron these days?
You're talking about right now?
Today?
Right now, because that is a question.
Yeah.
And right now you can get a military pass to go there with a military escort. Okay? Yes, you can, but it is, there are now buses that leave from Jerusalem directly to Hebron for worship. The buses are, they're scanned and they do all the ID stuff, and the military accompanies it down to Hebron. Let me continue. You think that's enough. And I tell you, there's more for Hebron. Hebron in the Torah is one of the Levitical cities, LEV. Anyone have any clue as to what a Levitical city is? A Levitical city, Donna?
That's what the scribes were writing the Torah.
No. A
Oh,
Levitical city is one of the properties assigned to the Levite tribe members because they didn't get a tribal piece of land. There's Judah, there's Issachar, there's, whatever. Levi didn't get. So the Torah assigned certain cities for the Levites. Hebron is a Levitical city. Wait, you say, is that all? No, it's not all. Hebron is also a city of refuge. Do you remember in the Torah legislation, if someone is accused of murder and the court determines that it was an accidental manslaughter, I think that's the proper way to name it. Yes, I can give you an example. It's in the Torah too. You're cutting, I can do this without moving my hands. You are cutting a tree down with an axe, and the axe head flies off and kills somebody. That example's in the Torah. Manslaughter, accident. In the Torah, there is an institution known as the Goel Dam, the blood redeemer. The family of the deceased has the right to take the life of the person who took the life of their family member. Goel Dam, the blood redeemer. The cities of refuge are places to which the accidental manslaughter person runs to take refuge.
Mm.
And once he is in there, the Goel Dam must not touch him. So that protects the accidental manslaughter from Hatfield and McCoy revenge activity. Are you with me?
we got you.
When you want to ask, I can just see the question growing in your eyes. When you want to ask, can the accidental manslaughter get out? Is this a life sentence inside that city? One of which was Hebron. Harvey.
When the high priest dies, he can get out.
Totally correct. So what does the high priest's mother do regarding the accidental manslaughters found in these cities of refuge? The Talmud talks about it, and I'll
Invite them
tell
to
it
dinner.
more. What?
Would not invite them to dinner.
No way. Okay.
According to the Talmud, the mother of the high priest would come to these cities to bring food, clothing, and comfort so that they shouldn't pray for the high priest's death.
Oh my God.
That's really there, folks. Okay? So where are you going today, Mom? I am going to Hebron. I'm bringing food and clothing. I want those people happy. Because if they're not happy, they're going to pray for my son to die. The Talmud worries about all kinds of stuff. I love it. I love it. This stuff is rich beyond words. We are now, well, the timing is pretty good. Going where Brad wanted us to go, but Reese's hands it up. Yes?
I just want to know if we know of any other cities of refuge besides Hebron.
Yes, we do, and I don't have the names here.
Okay.
Okay, but you can look up City of Refuge, COR, Cities of Refuge in Google. They will give you the names of the cities of refuge. Now, following what Brad said, Israelis cannot speak the name Hebron without acknowledging all of this baggage. This is why I wanted to do this exercise. The city of Hebron currently is occupied by the Palestine Authority. In any discussion for a peace agreement, the Palestinians insist that Hebron, which is under their control today, except for one part, must be permanently theirs. If you want to ask yourselves, what are the underlying issues that would make a peace agreement close to impossible? It's an arrangement that would have an Israeli government sign over Hebron to the Palestine Authority. You understand? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
This is not a small matter. Wait, I want you to know it gets more complicated. Hebron is the second largest Palestinian city in the western part, the occupied area by the Palestinian Authority. The largest Palestinian city is East Jerusalem. The second largest, Hebron. The third largest, well, Gaza is larger than Hebron, so if you include Gaza, you knock Hebron down to number 3. Point, Hebron is a large Palestinian city in which there are today 700 Israeli citizens.
Hmm.
It has been the source of bitter yelling, screaming, rioting, murdering, killing, shooting, and it has been going on since 1967. Okay? Hebron is an active hotbed of Palestinian extremism meeting Jewish settler extremism. They are head to head at this point. I'm going to go back a little bit. During much of the Muslim occupation of the Holy Land, Jews and Christians were barred from Hebron. Here comes the hard part. In 1929, Arab terrorists massacred 67 Jews in Hebron. Every Israeli knows that fact. 60 wounded, 67 died. In 1948, Egypt occupied Hebron as the British left. When the Egyptians came in, they wiped out every sign of Jewish presence. We were shown signs of stone door jambs where the mezuzah was pulled off, and you could see the hole where it was in the stone. They removed every presence. 48, Egypt occupied. Then Jordan came in and pushed Egypt out, and Jordan occupied. This is 48 to 67. Ben-Gurion, the prime minister of Israel. We are talking about a simple little story in our Sedra, and this is the story of contemporary Israel. Ben-Gurion said, the Jewish right to Hebron is inalienable. Period. No, it is not to be discussed. We go forward. 1967, Israel occupied Hebron. After a series of arrangements, deals, treaties, the Palestine Authority has authority over most of Hebron. But the settler presence, which has grown to 700 people, is run by the Israeli army in the middle of Hebron. When soldiers would walk down an alleyway in Hebron, they are very likely to be killed. It is that hot and that angry. But in 1967, when Israel occupied Hebron, I think we Californians would call it a tectonic shift. A messianic fervor broke out in the yeshiva population in Israel, viewing the occupation of Hebron as the next step in the messianic redemption. Much of what's going on today with the Haredim and the ultra-Orthodox regarding Israel blossomed in 1967 when Israel took Hebron, viewed it as a messianic achievement. Now, here comes the part that I was waiting for the whole hour. Are you ready?
Yes.
Mhm.
Lisa, I'm going to watch your face to see how you react to this.
Okay.
It was Rav Kook, Rabbi Kook, K-O-O-K, who worked with Ben-Gurion to give a kosher label to the establishment of the Jewish state. Kook agreed because he decided that the existence of the Jewish state is the next step toward the messianic redemption. So it's okay that we have it, but it isn't over. We have more to do. The Rav Kook Yeshiva is massive in Jerusalem. It's called Merkaz HaRav Kook, the center of Rabbi Kook. It is passionately committed to the retention of every bit of land in Eretz Yisrael, not just the state of Israel, all of that which could be called the ancient boundaries.
Mhm.
Here it comes. Pay attention. In our current events class, we talked about religious Zionism, the political party that is aligned with Bibi and driving Bibi crazy because of their demands. Their spokesman on this is a man by the name of Smotrich. Remember, please remember what I said in these other classes. Smotrich is a disciple of Rav Kook. The circle completes. Rav Kook, messianic explosion following the occupation of Hebron, a disciple of Rav Kook, is trying to get the position of defense minister of Israel so as to drive the Arabs out. Now, wait, one more. Two more. Baruch Goldstein. Does that name mean anything to you? Baruch Goldstein is another name known by every Israeli citizen, everyone. In 1994, during Purim, Dr. Goldstein, an American Olah, became an Israeli citizen, went into the cave of the patriarchs, Machpelah, with an automatic weapon and killed 29 Arabs at worship and wounded 125. Do you understand Hebron as being so complicated that it sounds like it's impossible to unravel? How did Baruch Goldstein get out of that building? He didn't. They beat him to death. He died by being beaten to death by the worshipers whom he was trying to kill. Here it comes. Goldstein's gravesite is in Kiryat Arba in a park dedicated to Meir Kahane.
Who's Meir Kahane?
The most radical, racist,
my God.
murderous, Arab-hating Jewish leader we've had in quite a while. The gravesite of Meir Kahane is a pilgrimage site for all the ultra-Orthodox Jews who want all the land. The following words are inscribed on Baruch Goldstein's tomb. He gave his life for the people of Israel, its Torah and land. That's what's on the tomb.
Not good.
Mm.
In 2010, getting close, Jewish settlers gathered in front of Goldstein's grave and sang this song. Dr. Goldstein, this is a song. There is no one like you in the world. Dr. Goldstein, we all love you. He aimed at terrorists' heads, squeezed the trigger hard, shot bullets, and shot and shot. That's a song.
Oh my God.
Yes. You want to talk about Hebron? You want to talk? I give you my last comment. It says 12:58, which is pretty close to being on time.
Oh, take another half hour. What is it?
Ben Gvir, the other partner with Smotrich in religious Zionism, is a follower of Meir Kahane. Ben Gvir, a gun-toting right-wing extremist who will bring down the Bibi government if Bibi doesn't give him all the things that he wants, is a disciple of Meir Kahane. Smotrich is a disciple of Rav Kook. Religious Zionism today has the complete program of the ultra-right-wing Zionist community to make Hebron the birthplace of the real Jewish state. Israel has, listen to this, installed robotic weapons that can fire tear gas, stun grenades, and sponge-tipped bullets at protesters, ultra-Orthodox, who are trying to create mayhem in Hebron. Robotic. So therefore, let's go back to the beginning. Abraham negotiated with Ephron, 400 pieces of silver, no big deal. I'll buy it. And then it says, thus was confirmed Abraham's acquisition from the Hittites of the field and its cave as a forever owned burial place. And that's where it started and where it ends. You're probably the only group around town who knows all this.
Wow.
Where it
My
ends,
problem.
we don't know. But when you think that all Israel has to do is sit down and sign a peace agreement and everything is going to be cool, that is so far from reality. They don't mention it. But every Israeli knows Hebron's history. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Oh, we love you. We love you. So wonderful.
Cindy, you have your hand up.
Since the Arabs consider Abraham their patriarch, don't they, is that how they feel they have a claim to the cave and the land?
That's part of it, that it's through Ishmael. And yeah, yes, absolutely correct. Yes, yes, and yes.
May I ask you a question? Do you remember the late great Kirk Douglas? And
Yes.
he built the playgrounds for everybody to play together. I think that's the answer. And if people don't like that, can kiss my tuchus.
Well, okay, but Kirk Douglas had the most incredible cleft chin, right?
Didn't he? I sat behind him at Temple Sinai, Rabbi.
Mhm.
I asked God why.
I thank you for putting up with me. This was a different form of Torah study today. And Hebron is just, Doug, thank you. Hebron is just worth it to really understand what's going on in Israel today, to look at the Torah portion and realize this isn't just ancient history. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Everybody, I love you. See you tonight. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.